wanted to welcome everybody here to Tuesday Night Talks. My name is Matt Elkin. I'm here with Scott Martin. We are really excited. This is our 9th week of Tuesday Night Talks. I can't believe it's already been a full 2 months that we've been doing these. It's been amazing, Scotty. Really appreciate everybody that's been tuning in. We're brought to you guys by West Coast Elite Basketball, Attitude of Gratitude Consulting, and just really briefly, before we get started with our first guest of the evening, I just wanted to talk that we have coming up here, our high academic camp schedule. We are really looking forward to being able to run these events for you guys. So just wanted to kind of show this graphic. Hopefully you guys can all see it. This is what we're going to be running, these high academic camps. Our first one is going to be the Super Bowl. It's August 8th through 9th. Then we'll have our Chicago Showcase August 10th through 11th. And then we have a couple more events coming up in the Midwest, on the West Coast in September. But I know it's been really tough time for a lot of you guys, players out there, to get recruited. So we've been here with these Tuesday Night Talks, giving you guys an opportunity to get to meet some of these coaches and programs that come to work our camps, our high academic camps with West Coast Elite. And first and foremost, one of those people that we're really excited to have on tonight is Coach Chris Bartley from WPI. So first of all, Coach, thanks for being with us tonight. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Thank you, Scott. And thank you to West Coast Elite. Phenomenal organization, and we're proud to be part of your Tuesday Night Talks for sure.
Yeah, no, we appreciate you guys. You guys have come to almost all of our events. You guys have been amazing. And if you guys see, normally we only have 3 of us on the call, but we have a special guest. Assistant Coach Jeff Robinson is also on with us tonight. So we appreciate Jeff being on as well. But before we dive into it, Coach, always like to start out with just a little bit of introduction. So if you could take a minute or two and just tell us a little bit about your background and kind of what led you in your coaching career to now being at WPI and having had a successful career.
Yeah, this will be my 20th year at WPI, and I really worked my way up from high school level and then to an assistant at the college level at Wentworth and Babson, and then got the WPI job. And it was always my dream to be a head small college basketball coach and find the right fit to raise a family and really get ingrained in the community. And I feel that we've really enjoyed our time at WPI. It's a phenomenal place, and the city of Worcester is tremendous with all the colleges and universities in the area. So it's just been a great fit for me, and we get a chance to recruit and coach and work with so many tremendous student athletes. It's really a phenomenal experience.
Yeah, no, it's amazing, and I'm lucky enough to have been on campus a couple times and be to Worcester. But for those people that are on the call from the West Coast or maybe I've never been out there, yeah, like Coach said, it's a great place to be, whether you're in school or after for jobs and stuff. So just another one of the many great things about WPI and location. So without further ado, I'd love to toss it over to you guys. I know you have a little presentation that you'd like to show us, so feel free, take it away, Coach.
Yeah, I'd like to thank my full-time assistant, Jeff Robinson, who played for us at WPI. He's actually a Hall of Famer at WPI, and has done a tremendous job, opening up some doors for us in recruiting, especially in the West Coast, which we had not done before up until the last couple of years. So Jeff's put together a nice little slide presentation for us. This is just some of the background of my time at WPI and some of the success that we've had. One of the things I think that's really important to note about our program is I would use the word consistency. I think we're the type of program that, you're going to know what you're getting. We've been able to stand the test of time, and, we're in a tremendous league in the NEWMAC, and, we're just trying to take that next step as a program. We've made the NCAA tournament quite a bit over the years and won either regular season or some conference tournament championships. But really the next goal for us is to try to get to a Final Four, win a national championship. And, obviously recruiting is so important to that end. And, that's why, we're real excited to, be here with you tonight to maybe open some doors to some kids that maybe don't know about WPI. So we're located in Worcester, which is, the second largest city in New England. And one of the great things about our location at WPI is just we're close to everything. We're right in central Massachusetts. So, you're 45 minutes from Boston, Providence, and Hartford's about an hour. We have our own airport. We've got Union Station, which is our train station. And we do have the Red Sox, which is, I know for some people out there, might not be the biggest. But the other really cool thing I like about our area is just all the colleges. They're all small, medium-sized schools. We have Holy Cross, Worcester State, Assumption College, Becker College, right around the corner from each other, and we're sort of in the hub of those schools. So you got about 30,000+ college kids in Worcester, which makes it a fun atmosphere. It's like we're not as big as Boston. It's not as busy as Boston. So I feel like you get a nice combination of the small school, New England campus feel, but you're close to the city. Now, just some of the things that, for those of you who don't know much about WPI, we're, very highly ranked in a lot of different areas. And I'd say like one of the strengths of WPI is really the outcomes that you get. Our average starting salary last year was in the 70s. We really have it's a project-based, hands-on type of curriculum. Obviously the STEM fields are really, really important to us. We also have a lot of kids that, mesh business with technology and engineering as well. So for kids that aren't really sure what they want to do, WPI is a really good place to look at, I think, because you're going to get a meaningful education that's really, I think, going to give you a great return on investment, which in the end is, you want to have a great experience. You want to enjoy your college experience. You want to play, in a really high level, Division III atmosphere, in a really good program. And I think you want to make sure that, you're able to, get the type of job that you deserve from all that hard work when you graduate. So this is some of our facilities. This is Harrington Auditorium. It's sort of a legendary basketball gymnasium in our area. We host, a lot of the high school sectional championships. This is one of our NEWMAC championship games here. And we get a great support from our student body. We have a pep band that's over 100 members, which is really cool and adds to the environment. It's a large gym, great shooting gym. We've got a big screen scoreboard, and I think for those of you that are really looking for also an atmosphere to play in, I think we've led our conference in attendance almost every year over the last 16, 17 years. And part of it is just we've got great student body, but we also get great support from the Worcester community. As we go through some more of the facilities, that large building on the right is Sports and Recreation Center, which was built around 2013. It was a $55 million project at the time. It's really state of the art. It's got 4 full basketball courts in there, state-of-the-art aquatic center. We've got multi-level fitness, a track around the top. It's really a cool building, and that's where our offices are located. And this actually attaches to our basketball arena, Harrington Auditorium. So where our offices are, there's sort of like a common area where our students do study halls and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of interaction in that building between coaches, students, faculty, staff are always in the building working out. So it creates this, I think, a real community feel to the campus as a whole. I would say, like, before we get into the academic stuff, just to touch on the style of play, I would say that we try to be as balanced as possible. I think we have hung our hat on a few different pillars of our program from a stylistic perspective. One would be man-to-man defense, and the other would be our motion offense from our fast break. So, we've been good, I think, at a lot of different categories. I think this past year you can see that we were, number 1 or 2 in a lot of stuff. But we're doing a good job defensively, but we're also playing, at a pretty good pace offensively. And, when we're recruiting, I think some of the things that we're looking for, we'd love to get like a traditional point guard, a table setter type of guy. We're fortunate to have a really good back to the basket, kind of old school center. Garrett Stevenson will be a senior this year. And, if you can get 3 or 4 guys around that, that are versatile, can shoot the ball, you have a point guard in the center, we feel like that's a really good way to play, and it gives you enough versatility. So sometimes we play with 2 bigs, sometimes we play with 4 perimeters and 1 big. It just kind of depends on the team and on the year. So we're going to show you a little bit of the atmosphere at WPI, and this is one side of the gym, but we got a really fun fan base, as you'll see here next to the pep band. Jeff is pulling it up right now. All right. Here we go.
Near side, Needleman. Needleman, back to McNamara, dropping baseline off the glass. Wisniewski far wing, now Doherty up fake, swings it down, Stevenson holding there. Stevenson off the return. Down underneath, Wisniewski, backdoor cut by Needleman, who can't finish. Stevenson, the offensive rebound. Needleman, no call. Downey thought about a transition 3, now takes it. Good ball movement. Needleman 3 will go out for the rebound.
Okay, Coach, I see you jumping around. There you go.
You saw the white hair, right? All right, so yeah, no, it's a fun vibe that I think we've created over the years, and it sort of leads me to what we're all about and what makes us maybe unique to some other really good institutions. I've watched a lot of the Tuesday talks, and there's just so many great academic schools that have really good basketball programs. So I think what we want to try to do is maybe differentiate ourselves a little bit. And part of that is the WPI Plan, which is really the academic curriculum and environment that we're in. It's a little bit unique. We're in 4 quarters or 7-week terms, and you get like a big break in between those 7-week terms. You're only taking 3 classes at once. We found that to be very helpful to the students, in that it goes at a fast pace, but you're really able to navigate it much like you would out in quote unquote the real world, where you can't procrastinate. You have to get stuff done. I think it really prepares our guys and our women very, very well for when they graduate, or even when they're doing summer internships. Our kids are usually getting into summer internships right after their freshman year. We have about 4,500 undergrads, so we're not tiny and we're not big. I think it's a nice happy medium, but we've always maintained that 13-to-1 student-faculty ratio. A big part of what we do is called More and For, and it's one of the pillars of President Leshin that came to WPI a few years ago, was to give students the opportunity to do more in their 4 years than maybe you would at most institutions. I think particularly because of the cost of colleges, escalating, it's really important that we give students the most bang for the buck, so to speak. So we have a really popular 4-year BSMS opportunity. We also have an interesting co-op program that that you can do within the 4 years. Because we're in a term basis, we're 4 7-week terms, you could do one of the co-ops either the after basketball season D term into the summer, or in the summer into A term. And because of our central location, a lot of the kids are able to, you pop out of work of your co-op at 4 o'clock, you're still back to campus by 4:30. ready for workouts or, whatever they're doing optionally out of the season to work out together. So that's been a really good opportunity for kids to make some money, get some more real world experience outside of the, just the summer internship type program. So it adds, I think, a dimension that's really unique. Your junior and senior year, you're going to do 2 major projects. And I think another, real hallmark of the WPI education is really, it's a learn by doing. It's that hands-on type of environment, whether you're majoring in business, engineering, or you're pre-med, you're going to be working in teams and in groups, and you're going to be working on real world stuff. Most of our projects are sponsored by companies or government agencies that come to WPI and say, hey, can you have a group of your students work on this issue and this problem that we're having and try to fix it? So that's invaluable. You can also do a study abroad option. And as a men's basketball or women's basketball or, winter athlete, at most institutions that are semester based, you wouldn't get that opportunity because, the season overlaps both semesters. But with our team, we can go either a term prior to basketball, and you can see some of the options that you can go to there that our guys have gone to, or you could do D term after basketball season. So you get a great opportunity to enrich your academic experience through some of those options. Moving on to the application information, I got to tell you, we're graduating 8 seniors so next year. So this is sort of a core group that we've played a lot since their freshman year, and they'll be graduating. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for kids that we're recruiting to make an impact, which you can't always say every year. Normally, very few freshmen get a chance to play a lot at some of the better programs. We were fortunate this year. We had the Rookie of the Year in our conference, but he was really the only freshman that made an impact. Now, next year, we can become young again, maybe. So there will be some more opportunity, I think, for kids to make an impact next year. And we have early decision for the first time since, I think, 2003, maybe. So we've just had early action 1, early action 2, and regular decision over the course of the years, where most of the schools we compete against, as you guys know, have early decision and really push that. So WPI has decided to go in line with some of that, and we will have 2 options for early decision. One of the really important things to know about us is, you have to have really good grades to get in. You have to be an elite student for sure, but we're test optional, and we've been test optional for almost my entire career at WPI. So I think we were one of the founding universities to go that route. And, we're really proud of that. And I think, a recent pay scale thing came out on, the colleges in New England that have the best return on investment, best salaries. And it was MIT #1, which is in our conference, Harvard #2, and WPI #3. So I think Harvard just went test optional. And, I think they'll find, like we did, it really has no impact on how successful you'll be as a student, your test scores, at a college university. And it certainly won't have an impact on what type of job you're able to get, because our kids have done great and we've been test optional for all these years. We offer, financial aid, merit scholarships, some multicultural scholarships as well, like other Division IIIs. We obviously don't offer any athletic scholarships, but, hopefully if students are high-level students that are challenging themselves in their course loads, pre-calculus is a prerequisite for admission to WPI, so that's important. If you're not planning on taking pre-calculus, if you could talk to your counselor and try to jump into a pre-cal, that'll enable you to open some more doors. Maybe not even just WPI, it could be other schools too that require that you might want to take a look at. So I appreciate you listening to me drawn on and on and on there, but the last thing I wanted to talk about is just something that's very, very important to our program and something that we've been invested in since my time, and that's community service. I feel like the kids that we get, they come from all different types of socioeconomic backgrounds, but I think it is really a privilege to be at an institution like WPI. And I want to make sure that, being in a city like Worcester, where there's a lot of young people that we can potentially make an impact on and touch, that we, devote time to that. So we've been involved with Big Brothers and Big Sisters, a school-based mentoring program right down the street from us at Elm Park Community School for 18 years now. We also do work with Team Impact. That's a kid, Liam Fitzgerald, who's called the Fist Bump Kid out here. He's a famous guy. He goes to the Bruins games. He's the man. And then we do some work with Seven Hills Foundation, which is a great organization out here. One of my former players' dads actually a vice president over there, so we got involved with that a long time ago. So that's just something that I think extra that we try to make sure that we expose our guys to and that we feel really, really good about. So with that, I don't know, Jeff, if you get anything else on that screen. These are just some of our core values that are important to us that we'll think about when we're recruiting guys. Are these guys that, can align with how we do things and what we're about? Are these guys that we can believe in and that will believe in each other? Are they consistent? Consistency is a big thing for us in recruiting. We want to really try to see somebody play as much as possible, even if it's on film. Obviously during the pandemic, it's tough, but if you have game film and you can send multiple games, it's good to get a sense of that consistency that a person plays with. Development to us is everything. I mean, I think at our level, development's so important because, we're not able to work with our guys in the fall and in the spring. So having people that are intrinsically motivated, that are driven, gym rat type kids that want to get better, we can give you a plan, but we can't make you go in there. We want to find guys that want to be in there and get better. And that's why the development is so important. And then do you compete with an edge? Do you play with that edge? And from a team standpoint, how do we get an edge? We do a lot of stuff with sports psychology, which is, I think, really an important aspect of development is improving in that area. And, preparation, how well we prepare as a team is another way to get us an edge. And it takes work by the players to buy into all that stuff. So with that, I throw anything out, any questions that you guys have or follow up on anything.
That was super, super thorough. That was really impressive.
You can thank Jeff Robinson.
Yeah, that was really impressive. What kind of skills, you guys are at a lot of camps, Ivy League camps, West Coast Elite camps. Are there any skills in the core that really stand out to you guys that, is important to the style of play that your program has?
That's a great question. I heard when I was a young coach, I heard Pete Carrillo used to go watch players and put a blinder over, and he would just look at their feet. And I think there is something to that. When you go watch you're at a camp and there's a lot of kids, to me, it's like how a kid fluidly moves. You can sort of see that, even if they're not real quick, but if they can move fluidly, and they got good feet, that's something I think we can work with. And then obviously, to me, I love to get guys that can pass the ball. I think good passers make you look really smart as a coach.
Oh, that's true. What advice do you have for the 2021 classes on this call, who's on this coronavirus roller coaster where their future in basketball, might be a big stress point for them?
Yeah, Scott. I mean, that's really such an important, I think, question and almost important for us as coaches to say, it's okay, relax, everything's going to be fine. If you're able to look at schools like WPI and the other schools that you've had on your Tuesday night talks, they're all outstanding academic institutions. So that means you have the grades to get into some really good places. So you're going to have some really good options. And know that all of us as coaches are in the same boat. So we're all going to be dealing with this together. And I think what I would say is just be as thorough as possible. And I've heard other coaches on the talk say, you know, following through is important. You know, it shows a sincere interest. And I think opening up, you know, lines of communication, you get a sense when you've sent stuff to coaches. You know, we return every single email that we get, and we try to, you know, let them know one way or another if there's somebody we're interested in. We ask for transcripts, which is really important. We talk about you got to be in pre-calculus as a senior. So doing that legwork up front as a somebody that's looking at a school like WPI, knowing more about the school, knowing what the requirements are. You don't have to be scared off. Oh, I only got a 1050 on my SAT. You're okay. You're okay. Hey, make sure you get all A's next year, you know, and make sure you're taking challenging classes. So the academic piece is as important as the basketball piece. And I think with the basketball piece, you know, it's having people like at West Coast Elite that do such a great job of promoting the game of basketball for these young kids. You guys do so much work for us because you're on the front lines dealing with these kids, and you can lead us in the right direction. And so what you guys do is invaluable to us.
We appreciate that too. What is like GPA range? What kind of transcript are you looking for? Is it just strength of classes? Is there a certain benchmark on the overall GPA you're looking for?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're with the weighted GPAs and all that, it depends on the school, but, you know, most of our kids are, you know, they're going to be 3.5 to 4.0 kids, you know, the average up there is probably closer to 4.0. And it really is, it's about the rigor of the curriculum. Because we went test optional, I think, you know, that's a real good indication that our admissions office believes in that transcript being the most important thing, you know? So that's what I would say to guys is, you know, challenge yourself academically, because if you've done well to this point, you know, all it's going to take is another hard year of work, and you can do it.
Coach, I was wondering, would it be possible if somebody sent you an email, would you be able to share that presentation or some more information with them if they wanted to be able to watch the film or something? Is that something they can reach out and get access to?
Yeah, just not Larry Anderson, Steve Brennan, or any of those coaches in the NEWMAC.
Perfect. Yeah. So
Yeah,
anybody who's here on the call tonight, we've already included Coach's email in the chat box. So you guys take a look in there and you'll see his email. It's also on their website. But if you guys have any more questions for Coach Bart or for Jeff or anybody about WPI, definitely feel free to reach out. They do a great job responding. I wanted to ask you one question. You mentioned Garrett, who I got a chance to be around, spend some time with when he was with BABC. And he was the type of player who, you know, he's playing on this big circuit team in the EYBL. And now he ends up being in one of the best players for you guys going into his senior year. So talk to some of these kids that might be on their call as they're kind of figuring out, you know, AAU teams or high school teams, what my role is, and just talk about how that can really evolve and shift as you kind of come into your own as a player.
Yeah, you know, I think it really goes back to development, and there's different ways to develop. One of the ways to develop, and we see it a lot because, you know, so many kids are coming to New England to really good prep schools, you know, to you know, further their education and prepare themselves for college basketball. And one of the ways to prepare yourself is just to play against other really good players. And maybe that means you don't have the same role as you might if you played in a lesser program or, you know, in a lesser AAU environment or whatever it is. But I think challenging yourself is gonna make you better. And, you know, I really believe in, you know, the growth of somebody who is challenged and perseveres says a lot that person. And like Garrett's a great example of, yeah, he could play at a higher level. I'm sure there's tons of kids that we play against in our league and other leagues that we play against that could play at higher levels. But it's really about, finding the right fit for you. Like, one of the great things about our program is the guys are so tight. Like, you move to apartments your sophomore year at WPI, and we have every single one of our upperclassmen live in the same apartment together. It's incredible. Yeah, so it's like a close-knit community, have a great basketball career, get a great education, and, get a job, in October, November, your senior year. You can't beat it.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, it's really, really, really cool. I think, it's a great lesson. Just, it's all about finding where you fit in best. I think that's really, that's been the overarching theme amongst a lot of these talks that we've had. We got about another minute left, Coach. So is there anything that we didn't get a chance to talk about or touch on that you wanted to just bring up before we kind of sign off for the evening?
Yeah, I would credit what I've seen a lot out there. And we had a team meeting which was led by David Brown, one of my other assistant coaches who played for me at WPI, about the social issues that are going on, racism. And, David did a great job of, conducting that for our team. And what I see is a lot of young people that are very thoughtful, and a lot of people that want to make positive change in the world. And I was just very proud of being on that call with our team and listening to our guys respectfully, have a dialogue about these issues. And I'm really hoping that with everything that's going on, that we can all come together in basketball, and being part of a team is, certainly, I think, a great lesson for how society can be, because we get people from all different walks of life and we perform out there as a team. And I think our country needs to become a team.
Yeah, I love that. And I also really loved your one of your last slides of talking about community service. I mean, I think it's so important. These players, coaches, we're on a platform right now more so than ever, and using that for a good cause is really special. So credit to you guys for always, putting that on the forefront. And, again, Coach, I appreciate it. I know it's late on the East Coast for you guys, but really appreciate both you guys staying up with us. We're looking forward to hopefully seeing you guys soon at one of our upcoming events. And again, if anybody has more questions, definitely feel free to reach out to Coach Bartley or to Coach Robinson. I'm sure they'd love to hear from you guys. We're really excited about some guys that might be coming down the pipeline with that West Coast to East Coast connection. So we're gonna try to keep that going. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys spending some time with us tonight, and hopefully we get to see you guys again soon.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Scott. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
See you guys. Stay safe. What's up, Coach? How's it going?
Good. How's my volume?
It's good. It's powerful. It's strong. I like it.
Okay. I'm trying to drown out the fireworks going on in the back outside my house right now. People in Cleveland think it's 4th of July right now.
Well, get the weekend started early, I guess. Well, we're really excited to have Coach Todd McGuinness with us tonight from Case Western Reserve. First things first, Coach, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. I didn't. I'm just trying to get adjusted here. I don't have the presentation that WPI just put on there. I was watching that from afar. Like that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, they came ready to play. So all right, now you got to follow that up with something special. First things first, we always love to introduce our coaches to everybody. So if you can, just tell us a little bit about your background. Tell us kind of about what got you in coaching and kind of up until now where you are at Case Western.
Yeah, I thought about it the other day. I just turned 40, so I've been a head coach going on 13 years now. So I've been doing it for a while. I was on the phone with someone and I said, I can't believe I've been doing this for 13 years already. Like it's as crazy as it sounds, just flies by. And I started out, I'm originally from the Pittsburgh area, so interesting living in Cleveland, being a Steeler fan, living in Browns territory. And I played at a small school in West Virginia, and I decided I want to get in coaching. So I was an assistant at Hartwick College for 2 years in upstate New York. I worked at Vassar College for 2 years as an assistant in Poughkeepsie, then 3 years as assistant at Case Western. And then I was able to go back and be the head coach at Hartwick. And I was there for 7 years. And then this job came open, and there's only 8 of them, in the UA, there's only 8 of them. And, they're valued as probably 8 of the best jobs in Division III, if not maybe the country. And, any level, they're not easy to get, and live in great cities, travel over the place. And so I was able to, get here, and, it's been great. We, my teams at Hartwick, we were probably some of the better teams in New York State at that point. We were in the NCAA tournament 4 out of 7 years. We had had a winning year, and since 1995 at Hartwick. And, the second year we were in the NCAA tournament, and got a really good player. And when you get to all-time leading scorer and rebounder in school history, it helps you make you look like you know what you're doing a little bit. And so I was able to, we had great success there. And, then this job came open, and to live in Cleveland, to work in a top 30 university is not, there are not many out there. And, when the ability to get this job was, really appealing to me. And now it's just a matter of, we're starting to get it going. And now hopefully we have a season here with everything that's going on, and we can build on everything that's happening right now.
Yeah. So you mentioned, obviously, Case Western and just the league in general, some of the teams you compete against, some of the best schools in the country, along with all the schools that we've had on our Tuesday night talks. But tell us a little bit more specifically about your school and what makes it so special academically, whatever brought you in to value it as being one of those top tier job opportunities for you.
Yeah, it's, we're the number 1 ranked school in Ohio, for whatever, take that for what it's worth, and, top 30 private research university. It's just a great place to work. Or, I work with high achievers, or guys that are outstanding kids, they don't get in trouble. School's really important to them. Like they're on Tuesday night, our guys are in the library. Like next year with our roster, we'll have 5 engineers, or 5 or 6 engineers, 4 pre-med, and then the rest are our business schools. So, our guys are high achievers. They work hard, and it's just a great place. Our engineering department is what we're known for. But, this year we had 3 seniors, and 2 are going to med school, 1 Ohio State, 1's going to take a gap year and maybe actually come back and play. A California guy, actually from Sacramento. And he has a 5th year, and so he's thinking about coming back. And then, and our other senior was an electrical engineer, and he got a job in Chicago working for a great firm. So, just the jobs that our guys get, the great kids you get to work with. And then, who you're playing. Like, when I was my last job, we might have had a night or 2 where you're like, okay, even if we don't play well, we're going to be all right. And here, if you don't play well on Friday or Sunday, you're going to lose by 30. Like, you better, they're really good players. And I think this is a challenge of making Case Western into what Hartwick was, one of the best jobs in the country. And, it's a challenge, it's a challenge here. And, we've never been over 500 in UA, and 2 out of 4 years we've been 6 and 8 with having the ability to win a couple at the end and haven't won them. So, just small steps that, once we get to those steps, and it's going to be, we'll never look back and have say, okay, what is the 13 and 12 year when people are, oh, that might be a good year. Well, that's going to be a bad year. That's the goal.
Yeah. Yeah. And you mentioned, I know we've had a couple other coaches from the UAA already on the show, but for people that might be tuning in for the first time, you kind of alluded a little bit to the schedule, some of the schools. Talk a little bit about just how competitive of an environment it is at Case Western playing against teams like that, and maybe some other teams that you play, and, how are you kind of using that as motivation to get kids in and hopefully have some success down the line?
Yeah, it's a real unique league with travel. And for people that don't know, we play in Chicago and St. Louis in the same weekend, in Chicago and St. Louis and Rochester and Atlanta, and then New York City and Boston. So, and then our travel partners in Pittsburgh. So, it's a real unique league to be able to see all these major cities. I think it helps kids, current players understand, okay, I could live in that city or not. 2 years ago, we have a kid from Elk County, PA. So he hasn't been on many flights. I don't know if he even was on a flight until that year. And he chose us, and, he's a nice player for us. And we got to New York City, and we stay right in Chelsea, right down there. And he was there for about 15 minutes and was like, nope, this is not for me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to, I'll be back for the next 3 years of games, and I'm never coming back again. So I think it's just for students, to see these great places. And everywhere we go, we have alumni. We go to alumni dinners, we go to alumni functions, just to be able to meet people, to see, okay, this is going to be somewhere I want to work, or somewhere I can, be affiliated with. One of our sophomores, we have a former player who runs his own digital media company in Atlanta, in Buckhead. And, when we were on a trip this year, 2 years ago, he had his house. This year we had an alumni function at a restaurant by our hotel. And Bob Fowler, who's a sophomore, was able to link up with our alumni, Arnold Huffman, and that's where his internship is this summer.
Oh,
so, it was supposed to be in Buckhead and down there, but now it's online. And so, just the ability to connect with those people, connect with those alumni, guys that have played here, guys that have gone through it, and just know when, you're going to be able to see them in every city we're at. And, we get good turnouts at games on the road. Like we have, there's always someone there that, even if we don't know who they are, that, I played in the whatever, and, and they'll come up and talk to our guys. And it's, it's connections that are made in this league. And it's interesting, our players too, we have socials on Sundays after UA games. So we play Friday nights at 8 and Sundays at noon. And so on Friday nights, Sundays we have socials. So one of our players from Pittsburgh was going to live with a guy from Carnegie Mellon this summer in Charlotte, and both were working at Bank of America. And that's not happening now, but, just the connections that guys have, and guys that will play in New York City leagues in the summer. And even when they graduate, they will stay in touch with each other just because they played in this league and got to experience it all together.
Yeah, no, that's a really cool. One of our coaches that we had on, I think it might've been Coach Sullivan from Emory, alluded to that too. And you have this kind of camaraderie amongst other people in the league. And like you mentioned, there's a ton of great cities: New York, Boston, Chicago, St. Louis, Atlanta. So there's a lot of opportunities for people to, start their careers after they're done playing. So that's awesome.
It's unique with those socials. Sometimes you don't want to be in there. You might have just lost, or I know I might not want to be in there. Maybe my players enjoy it more than I do, but sometimes they're not but they're great for the players. They go in there and sit and talk and get to know each other a little bit.
Definitely. I'm going to toss it over to Scotty. Scott will have a couple more specific questions for you, Coach.
Coach, thank you for coming on tonight. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me.
So I saw on your roster you had 3 seniors this year. What's a priority for you guys going into this off season when it comes to recruiting? So
we carry a bigger roster. So people always ask, and it's something recruiting, probably in general, we don't need to have a bigger roster. Like I think that a few of the the UA schools, we don't have JVs. I don't think there's a need at our schools for JVs, anything like that. So if you see our roster, I think this year we had 16 guys. We have that because on a Monday night, we might have 3 guys coming in from a lab, and we'll practice, and we'll have everyone together for a little bit. And then we have 3 guys leaving. And if we had 12, 13 guys, we couldn't have a practice. We would have to either practice in the morning or real late at night. And we just base everything off of, class schedules and everything like that. So where our needs are, we have 3 seniors in the upcoming year. I think Monty, who was from Sacramento, he's coming back this year. I think as of now he is, depending on everything. And he's getting a master's in, I think, finance, and then he's going to go to med school the year after. So we'll lose 4, if Monty's back, 4 really good players, 4 2,000-point scorers. So I think, but we have a good nucleus. We don't need a big class. We'll probably need 3 or 4 guys. Everyone always asks, what do you want? I just want good players. If we get 3 guys and they're 6'8" and taller and they're all real good, we're going to take those and figure it out. If we get all point guards next year, and we'll figure it out, we'll figure out how to play. And, then when you put all the good ones out there, you usually look like you know what you're doing. And this year at the end of the year, we were playing without a point guard. We were playing different. We were playing a little bit of old school basketball, a little isolation and post up. We haven't done that in a while, and usually we're more of a ball screen, trying to find mismatches. And this year we just, whoever had it and had the little guy on, and we just posted them up, and that's how we were playing at the end. And we were still scoring a lot. We were still averaging over 80 points a game, but it was just a little different. And so I think looking forward, we definitely probably a point guard's probably in need in this class. Another forward. We don't really have, I don't know how people say, but we really don't play centers. We play like 4 and 5 men. And if you say there are forwards in our game, and we don't really, all right, someone has to get rebounds and someone has to guard the other guy's big guy. That's what it really comes down to. But really in our league, no one really plays with a back-to-back center. Maybe one team does a little bit, but everyone's really, really spread out and playing better athletes and trying to attack some mismatches. So I'd say our recruiting class is 3 to 4. We're in the process of, we can do pre-reads. So we're able to, if we can get a senior schedule, class schedule, test scores, and then transcripts and major, we can do a pre-read with you and let you know, okay, this is what you're gonna be accepted. You're going to be, and as long as everything goes according to plan. One unique thing about Case Western is we're the highest ranked academic school that gives out merit. So we're one of the only top universities, top 30, top 35 university gives out merit. And we give out really nice merit aid scholarships. So if a student has a 34 ACT, a really nice transcript, and is going to challenge themselves their senior year, because if they see there's no AP classes on it, or not taking a tough schedule, they won't accept that student. And so we'll give out, that student could give between $25,000 and $30,000 off the top.
Wow.
And so that's one unique thing that we have, and we meet full need too as well.
That's huge. Academically, what's the requirements for the university, from test scores to transcripts? Is there a range you guys look for in recruiting?
Okay. Our average score is about a 1350, 33 ACT. Our GPA is about a 3.88, I think is what the school website said. Usually, that's an average. So there's higher on our team and there's lower, but we're not much lower. You know what I mean? We don't have slots. You're getting in on your own here. So it's, there's nothing, you're getting on your own merit here. And, being a basketball player helps, but it's not getting you into school if you don't deserve to be in the school.
How much weight do they put into the high school they go to, the rigor of their schedule, extracurricular activities, stuff like that?
Yeah, the number one thing we look at is transcript. So we look at AP classes. We look to see if they're taking the most challenging schedule they can. So if there's stuff that's not there, or that we see, okay, why did they take that? There will be questions. Okay, why did they take this calculus when they could have taken this calculus? And so, and then they look at the general everything, everything the students are doing, off the court, all the community service, everything like that. That plays a huge part in everything.
Could you explain to the kids on this call what a pre-read is and what merit aid is for the kids on this call who don't know what that means?
Yeah, sorry about that. So pre-read is our admissions lets us find out who can get into school. So that's one advantage of being a recruitable athlete, is if you give me your transcript, your test scores, and senior schedule and intended major, the school will actually come back and say, okay, you're likely to be admitted, you're very likely to be admitted, you're possible or unlikely to be admitted. And that's stuff that we can use to really help our recruiting. And it really helps with, if a kid's looking to go early decision and trying to figure out, okay, am I going to get accepted? Am I going to get merit aid? All that, we can really tell them, like, okay, yeah, hey, like, as long as everything stays like it needs to be, you're going to get this kind of package, everything like that. And merit aid is based on, the best way I can describe it is free money. So our school's about $70,000, and all said and done. And so if you can get a merit aid scholarship on your, based on your application, you could get a merit aid scholarship for $30,000. And now, before anything else, the school's $40,000 for the year. And so that's a unique feature that we have that other places don't have.
Nothing wrong with free money.
No, it's really, if we'll have 16 guys on the team next year, 14 or 15 out of 16 will be on some kind of merit aid. And it usually comes down to, okay, I could go to maybe a number, say NESCAC, and that NESCAC, if I'm a full pay and they're going to make me pay 70 to go to a NESCAC. Well, I could go to Case Western for 30, and that's how we usually, it's a lot of money over 4 years.
No, that's true.
Hopefully, does that help?
That helps a lot. Just
Okay.
Great explanation. Have you guys done? Go ahead.
And schools do it. So like with kids that are, the guys that are on this call right now, ask coaches, like when you're talking to them, like, hey coach, do you do pre-reads with admissions? Like, do you do likely letters? Like we can do likely letters too, where you get all this stuff and we can get you a likely admit letter sent to you that says, okay, you're going to get in, here's what your scholarship's going to be in, and everything like that, even before you apply.
That's hugely helpful in the process too.
Really, yeah, extremely helpful.
Are you guys going test optional because of the COVID situation? Have you discussed that?
We are, yeah. I was going to mention that right when I got cut off there. So we are going test optional for this year.
Just the 1 year?
Yeah, as of now. I don't know. We haven't had any more plans as of that, as we've heard. We actually just got an email. The UA just still has a off-campus recruiting until July 31st now.
That's cool.
Yeah, so we just we're not allowed off campus. We thought we were
you're not allowed.
We're not good. No, not good. We were hoping we were going to be allowed off, and I think we might be allowed to do on-campus visits, which is at least we can start doing those. I think
that's a step forward, at least.
Yeah, it's something. Yeah.
What advice do you have for recruits who want to get on your radar, especially when the vast majority of the country is not playing any basketball?
I think the easiest way to, especially on our radar here, is to email me. I actually had a student, or a guy that's on this call right before, sent me, hey, I'm going to be on the call. Here's my highlights. Here's my stuff. And I watch everything. I'm not allowed to go to work. So even if I'm at work, my assistant and I, we watch every single film we get. We watch every single highlight. Our best freshman, the UA freshman year, averaged 18 points a game in the UA, was an NCSA profile.
Wow.
And he came to our camp, and we're like, whoa, like, what is this guy? And, and no one recruited him, and no one probably took the time to click on his link. And so I say, email me, send me highlights. And then if we like the highlights, we ask for full games. And I don't check our recruiting questionnaires that much. I need to do a better job of that. But like when student athletes email me, I get back to everyone, and, and we're pretty upfront and honest. Like, it might hurt us in the long run, but watching video, if we think you can help us, usually it's, okay, we're going to watch you on video, and then, okay, we're going to be at one of your events. Last year we actually have an incoming freshman from my assistant, Coach Fitzpatrick, was at it in LA, I think, and we have a student from Texas coming, Luke Thorburn, and he saw at a West Coast Elite event, and we recruited 4 or 5 that we saw there last year. It just didn't work out, but so usually it's guys that they'll put us on the radar, and then, okay, when we're at an event, we make sure we follow up with that guy for sure.
Coach, we have a couple more minutes here, and so I kind of wanted to just touch on, for you guys in a normal year, when we're not having COVID, when everybody's on campus, what would like a traditional day in season look like, maybe for one of your players, between when they get up, class, practice, or game day? What would a typical day look like for one of your guys?
Yeah, I can go through with our travel, and if we're leaving for a road trip, we leave Thursday usually morning. Okay. So we're always off on Mondays during UA season. Tuesday, Wednesday, if we're going at home, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Usually we don't practice till probably the earliest we get in is 5 or 5:30. So we have workouts scheduled. We like guys to be able to get a workout once a week during the course of a day, but sometimes it's almost impossible for certain guys. So last year, our starting 2 guard on Wednesdays, he's a business major, accounting and finance. He's a double major. Couldn't come to practice. He had classes all day long, and he just couldn't come, so he never was at practice on a Wednesday. So that wasn't the most ideal, but he would come earlier in the day when he had like a half-hour block and get a workout. Our campus is massive. From our football field to our basketball facility is about a mile away. So it's really spread out. That's where the freshmen and juniors and senior dorms are. Sophomore doors are on our side of campus. So I'll hit on that after I answer your question about our campus a little bit. And so we usually go as soon as they can get over there. We have a company that does our lifting. So on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, we lift before practice. We lift for a half hour, and then we'll practice for about an hour, 15 hour and a half during the season. We never really go that much longer. There's a lot of supplemental instructions and some tutoring sessions that our guys will go to. I don't really put it on social media. Our guys do really well in the classroom. We had the whole year we ended up with like a 3.71 GPA. We had 6 4.0s for the whole year. So we don't have it much on social media because our guys are smart coming in. And so I don't need to really brag about them, but they, our guys do really well in the classroom. We had every guy on the team over 3.0, and they're mechanical engineers, electrical engineers. We have a physics and astronomy major that's going to end up working at NASA. We have a aerospace engineer that's going to probably go to SpaceX as his internship. One of our former players is the last guy to sign off on a shuttle before it goes into space at SpaceX. So, yeah, we our place. So that's it. That's normally practice, and they'll go and hopefully eat, then go right back. Some of them study, but the thing about ever since LeBron left, where the Cavs plays about 2 miles from 2 or 3 miles from campus. We have a student pass, so anytime the guys they'll get a text the day of a Cavs game, and it'll be $5 for lower bowls.
Oh wow!
So our guys go to a lot of Cavs games. So, and then 2 years ago we had 15 NBA teams practice in our facility. This year we had a few. We have a lot of college teams. That's what with the COVID, the NCAA tournament was here, and we had practice scheduled all day long for all these college teams. So that was disappointing. So, but we're used to Clutch Sports. They're on the West Coast now.
Yep.
The guy that does all their contracts, his name's Mark Termini. He's one of our all-time leading scorer. So they used to do all their workouts at Case. So we have really good connections with those guys. And, Rich Paul grew up 2 minutes from campus. And, so there's a lot of NBA connections here in Cleveland, and just, a lot of different connections. I always tell guys, and I know it's getting time for me to go here, but, some of our alumni, the guy that made Gmail graduated from here. The founder of Craigslist graduated from Case Western. Wow. And, we're a Nike school. The Rudy Foundation we have an endowment for the next 30 years to keep us in Nike. The guy that made the air bubble, Frank Rudy, graduated from here. Wow. So anyone that's wearing a Nike shoe, he graduated from here, and that's where the technology was made while he was here.
And safe to say that if LeBron ended up going to college, he would have went to Case. Is that a fair?
That's what I like to tell people. Yeah, that's what I like to tell people. Yeah,
well, we got about a minute left. Is there anything that we didn't get a chance to talk about, or anything else you wanted to circle back on before we wrap up?
Yeah, probably our campus. Yeah, our campus is in about 3 miles from downtown. It's really the cultural hub of Cleveland. It borders Little Italy. There's the Art Museum of Cleveland's on our campus, the Botanical Gardens, University Hospitals on our campus, or one part of our campus borders the Cleveland Clinic. So anyone that's interested in medicine, any of those majors, we do really well, and especially just with the accessibility to maybe get some research done at major hospitals right in the area. So
that's awesome. Well, it sounds like you're bringing some smart kids in, and they're staying smart while they're there, judging by your team GPA. So it's amazing. And yeah, I really encourage everybody that's here on the call to reach out to Coach. His email is in the chat box below. Just definitely shoot him an email, a thank you. Learn more about the university, because again, it's an amazing place academically. The league is extremely challenging, like you said, but there's a lot of opportunities there. And I think it's amazing what you're doing there and trying to build that program back into prominence. And it seems like a lot of great connections that can be had as well. So I really appreciate you being on with us tonight, Coach. Means a lot to us, and hopefully we get a chance to see you guys back in the gym soon.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, thank you guys. And when you send me emails, I might be wrong. I have a boat in the lake out in Lake Erie, so I probably will be responding and sitting on there. So I'll send pictures of them on it for everyone.
Oh, I thought you were going to be on the boat with us tonight on the call. What happened?
No, it's a little dark for outside right now. I'm ready to go to sleep. I'm usually in bed around this time. So
well, we appreciate you staying up past your bedtime for us tonight.
Yeah, thanks. All right, guys. Thanks so much.
Take care. Have a good night.
What's up, fellas? How you doing?
Oh, I see a little bit of beautiful scenery in the background. Maybe we'll have to get to that after a little bit.
No, absolutely. I'm tucked away in the woods right now.
I love it. Well, last but not least, we got to introduce our good friend, head coach at Lewis and Clark. He's been to a lot of our events. We just got off the call with somebody who was in Cleveland, and Tim also spent a lot of time in Cleveland as well. So first things first, welcome. Appreciate you being on with us tonight. For those of us that are on the call right now, give us a little bit of background. Tell us about kind of what led you to being now in your role as the head coach at Lewis and Clark.
Yeah, so I grew up in Mississippi, the southern part of Mississippi. It's called Moss Point, Mississippi. From there, obviously played high school ball there. And then I was able to go on and play at the University of Vermont. I was super lucky. I walked into a team that had won the conference twice. And then I kind of caught the third year of that. So I was around, obviously, some great players, some great coaches. And then again, my junior year, we were able to win the conference again. So great experience there. And then I went from Vermont, working at University of Missouri, as a grad assistant, working with AD, working with basketball. And then I found my way to Oberlin, Ohio for 7 years. And then I've been at Lewis and Clark. Actually, tomorrow will mark my second year at Lewis and Clark. So yeah, it's been quite the journey, I will say that.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, tell us a little bit, just real quick, what took you from Mississippi to Vermont? What was that transition like for you?
Yeah. So during high school, I didn't play any AAU basketball. I kind of just with my high school team, that shows you how old I am. I was just with my high school team, just kind of working with my high school team. And then I was able to go to just a camp. I think they were like 5-star camps were a little popular back then. So I went to one camp. And then from that one camp, my recruiting kind of just, kind of took off from there. And then Vermont, and then there were some other schools. To be completely honest, my mom absolutely hated the other coaches. So I really only had one choice. So Vermont, Coach Tom Brennan was there, just a cool guy. I went based on, obviously they were winning. They had one of the best players in the country. They had the second leading scorer in the country on their team. But I went on field. The coaches were awesome. So I basically committed. I have 4 other visits scheduled, and I committed basically before taking my other 4 visits. So mainly out of exhaustion, I didn't want to go on any more visits. The 2 days was enough for me.
Yeah. Nothing like going on your visit and shoveling out your car right before you take it back to. No, I love Vermont. I spent, people on the call that know me, I spent 2 years up in Vermont at a prep school, so it's near and dear to my heart. Got a couple former players up there. But so you moved through the profession. You played. You were a GA, an assistant, and now you have this opportunity to be a head coach. So tell us a little bit, kind of about, what brought you to Lewis and Clark? What is it about the school first, and then we'll talk about the basketball second. So tell us a little bit about, what brought you there and what attracted you to be the head coach at Lewis and Clark.
Yeah, so I was at Oberlin for 7 years, and I spent a ton of time in California on the West Coast. So I was up and down. It seemed like my entire summer I was in California, recruiting, getting to know the area. The head coach over at Oberlin, he's he's a Southern California guy. So we spent a ton of time in California. From there, that's when schools on the West Coast kind of jumped on my radar. And then once Lewis and Clark came through, it was the same thing. There were some other head coaching opportunities prior to Lewis and Clark, but I went to, I was able to find the right kind of person for me. Like the AD, Shayna Levine at the time, just was the right administrator. We had the same belief system, and it was just the right fit. So Lewis and Clark, obviously the location, it was a place that I knew that, I could believe in, I could get behind. So I left Vermont. I left Oberlin after 7 years and came over to Lewis and Clark.
And tell us a little bit about the school, like academics, location. Just give us like kind of, some of the facts about, what you might tell a recruit or a family when you're trying to attract them to the school.
Yeah, I think there are schools that, like, I like to be at a school that's right, that has like a nice balance where you can attract high performing students. Like one of our alums, he's the #1 investment banker in the country. He was just the top 40 under 40. He was the top investment banker in the country. But we also have students who may, if you like that word fit, may not fit at a higher academic institution. But we have some of those students who have come through Lewis and Clark, and now they're at a place getting a PhD. They're working, like they're one of the top people at Nike, because, we were able to, not only to high performing students, we were able to attract some of those students who may not be the right, quote unquote fit for a higher academic school. So I like being somewhere in the middle. Some highlights of Lewis and Clark. #1 is the city. We're right in Portland. I can get downtown Portland. From my house, I can get downtown Portland in maybe 2 minutes. From the school, it's maybe 10 minutes. We have 3 campuses. We have a grad campus, which has about 1,000 students. We have a law campus with about 700 students. We have the #1 environmental law program in the country. And then on our campus, we attract maybe about 525 students in each class. So we're somewhere in that range of 2,100 to 2,200 students, predominantly on the West Coast. But we attract students basically just similar to schools like us, just from all of the major cities across the country. I think the #1 thing that stood out at Lewis and Clark, Portland is a place that you want to live after graduation. So we just have so many alums that are living in Portland. So it's easy to connect alums specifically to our team, and also specifically to the college as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's really cool what you said, Tim, about the fit, how important that is, because, it doesn't, we talked about it with our first speaker, WPI, basketball level, location, academics, all these things it's a sliding scale. So we all just want to find that fit, right? So I think that's really, really cool. And, now switching gears to the basketball side, tell us a little bit about kind of what you guys are doing from the basketball standpoint in terms of how you've kind of grown the program in your time there.
Yeah, so it's been really cool. I guess my 2 coaching stops so far, it's taking over programs that are maybe in a tough situation and kind of flipping them a little bit. So with Lewis and Clark, I'm about to finish my 2nd year. We increased our win total, all of the things. We were able to really start to kind of build our program and bring in students that, work together, can thrive together, and most importantly, can win together, win on and off the court. So I think the basketball piece, we have a plan in terms of looking at our team, not year by year, but looking at it in a bigger picture over the course of 4 years, what we want it to be. We finished, our top 4 teams go to the conference tournament. In the 2nd year, we finished right like a game outside of 4th. We just started to peak late, but, starting to grow. We really have those pieces in place. Our team's young. We had 6 freshmen last year. Most of them played. So we really have an opportunity to continue to grow and continue to develop our team.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm gonna throw it over to Scotty and have a couple more questions for you now, Tim.
Coach, always nice seeing you, of course.
Yes.
Can you tell us about your conference? For the players in the call who don't know where you guys play, who you guys play against?
Yeah, so we're mainly over in Oregon. So we have 5 teams over in Oregon. We're all maybe about an hour away. We have, let's see, Linfield, Willamette, George Fox, I'm missing one, and Pacific. And then us in Oregon. And then we have 4 Washington schools, 2 in Tacoma, Puget Sound University, Pacific Lutheran University. And then we have 1 in Spokane, Whitworth University, and then Whitman out in Walla Walla, Washington. Spokane is maybe that's the furthest trip for us, about 6 hours. And then Whitman about 4 hours. And then to get to Tacoma, it's maybe between about 2 hours to drive out that way. So Oregon schools, super easy. Some of the trips are like 45 minutes. But once we go out to Washington, that's where we're looking at those overnight trips.
What's your style of play? I actually got to see you guys play. What was your first season when you came to California?
Oh, Cal Lou, I remember that. I remember that. Yes, you were. So much respect for that.
So what's the style of play? I know it's changed a lot since your first season. What's the whole deal with what you guys do on offense and defense?
Yeah, so we have a really good player. He actually makes me a better coach. We had a transfer from the University of Portland. The reason we peaked late, he was kind of a walk-on at the University of Portland, hadn't played in 2 years. And then there was a game this year early in the season, actually had 0 points. And then later in the season, he had 40. So that shows you like the growth and jump over from the first half and the second half of the season. So we like to play more of a motion. We always say we want a high assisted field goals. So we want to lead the conference in assisted field goals. But when you have a player like Brian, some of those rules kind of go out the window. So we have some sets specifically around him and letting some of our other players kind of, be a star in their roles around Brian. He's probably, next year he'll be the best player in the conference or top 2 in the conference. So he really generates offense for the other guys. And defensively is where we kind of hang our hat. We're considered the most athletic team, long in the passing lanes, ability to create steals and transition opportunities. So we like to get in the passing lanes and play up tempo, but we're able to have a lot of balance because Brian is our best player is a really good player in the half court.
What are some needs for the upcoming classes, the 2021 class, and looking forward?
Yeah, 2021, the unfortunate part about great players is that they graduate. So Brian will graduate after this season. So looking at a guard and then looking at a couple wings and maybe a versatile post player. That's one we try to keep our roster around 16 players. So about four players a year is, a comfortable number for us. So just looking at maybe a guard, a dynamic guard, a couple wings with some size, and even if it's 3 wings, that's fine. Maybe 2 wings and a post, somewhere in there.
Do you look for primarily freshmen, or you play the transfer game at all?
If there's a transfer like Brian Smith, I'll take that every single day of the week. But I typically look for freshmen, and then just because most of our alumni are stationed here in Portland, we tend to get some references from alums, about transfers. So Brian, we had a connection with Brian, and he ended up coming over from University of Portland to us. So we typically look for 4 years, but there are some special circumstances too.
Of course. And on the academic side, Lewis and Clark's a top 100 school and also a top 100 value school. What does it take to get in?
Yeah, so it seems like a theme going around the academic world, the college world, is for colleges to transition over to test optional. We've pretty much, this is at least for the last couple of years, we've been a test optional school. So looking at a weighted GPA can go up to a 3.9. I think that's our reported averages for this incoming class, in between a 28 and 32 ACT. But I think for us, I just think that our college seems to be willing to take some, looking at more than just the GPA, looking at more than just the test scores, and basically asking themselves the question, can this person succeed at Lewis and Clark or not? And then if not, then trying to communicate to a student, maybe taking a couple classes here, maybe taking a couple classes here, and trying to work with students to come over to Lewis and Clark.
What's the cost? And do you guys offer any kind of merit or need-based aid?
Yeah, so our cost is, I think it's $68,000, and I think on average, folks pay around $30,000. We're similar to most schools where some students who pay little to nothing, and then there's some students who pay up to in that like $50,000 range too.
So when we met, 6 or 7 years ago now, you were at Oakland. What lessons did you bring from your 7 years there to Lewis and Clark?
I think Isaiah Cavaco, the head coach there, I think he's just a tremendous basketball mind. So I was able to work with him at Oberlin and was just able to learn. Anytime you're around people who graduated from Yale, you'll learn something. So I was around him for basically 7 years, tremendous experience, and most importantly, the students at Oberlin. I grew up in Mississippi, went to University of Vermont. I didn't even know what an Oberlin was before going on campus. And then once being on campus, being around students, for me, it was all about basketball. I'm 100% a basketball person. But at Oberlin, I always tell our students, you want to be like Andre Iguodala. Like you want to be a great player, a championship player, but you also want to be smart and mindful of your surroundings and everything that happens around you. You want to be a great mentor. You want to be a person who's always seeking, to learn and grow. So that's what I learned from Oberlin, just a more well-rounded, because up until that time, my life was all basketball 100% of the time. Just looking at that well-rounded experience, and that's something that I brought over to Lewis and Clark as well.
When it comes to recruiting, I mean, you've been a staple in the camps and the Ivy League camps, the West Coast League camps, any kind of camp, you're always there. What do you look for in those camps, and how can players stand out?
Yeah, I think for players, people will say all different types of things, like passing, be a great teammate, and all those things. But I think sometimes players don't specifically know what that is. They don't, you have to really be detailed about what coaches look for. And I think you really have to get to know the coach. I always tell players, if you really want to seek out a school, like, especially now that everyone's kind of stuck at home, like maybe pull up a game of a coach that you're, maybe considering a school that you're considering, go online and just find a game of that team playing, and see it and see in ways that you can kind of fit in with that team based on their style of play. Like just see it for yourself. It's online. And specifically for me, I like that Steph Curry type of quality, that Zion Williamson type of quality. Like I love players who other players love to play with. I always look for that at a high school game where you can clearly see that their teammates just love them. And that vibe and that atmosphere, there's something that I try to find. It's rare. Like you may be finding it, once every 2 years, once every 3 years, but always looking for those players who have that magnetic energy. And then specifically like, passing and, athleticism, the way you move and all those things. I love players who just know who they are. I love those guys. If you're a shooter, you don't try to do anything else. I love shooters who look at themselves as like a 9-0 run. Like at any moment I'm going on a 9-0 run. At any moment I'm going on a 12-0 run. I just love people who embrace their role and, try to be stars in their role.
What kind of advice do you have for the athletes who, want to play in college, but, we're not playing basketball, and what's usually a pivotal season for them?
Yeah, my heart goes out to, spring sports and also folks in the summer, especially this is a heavy recruiting period for a lot of folks. I think what you can do, I think one of our players, I think he's approached this quarantine the right way. He spent the first week learning how to code. He spent the second week he spent 6 weeks learning how to code, and then he spent another 6 weeks working on his real estate license. I think there's just so many ways to sharpen your mind. And I think basketball specifically, I would say along with the skill training, along with reaching out to coaches, use this time to kind of sharpen your mind too. Specifically, pulling up your game film, knowing who you are, doing research on schools, and really being thoughtful about those emails that you send to coaches. Really being thoughtful in terms of, this is your play style, this is how I can fit into your play style. And then knowing the academic options at the school, just as much as you can know about a school before just sending out a blanket email. It personalizes it, and it kind of lets the coach know, like, hey, maybe it'll even put it on the coach's mind, hey, I can fit here. And then they'll start to imagine you being on their team.
Tim, I thought it was really interesting what you said. You almost kind of flipped the script, because most of the coaches are talking about all the film that they're getting and all the kids that are sending them film. And you kind of talked about how, as a player, you should be watching film of maybe some schools that you want to apply to, or find out how do you fit in. So I know not everybody spends a lot of time at this age watching film, especially not of other teams, especially at the higher level. So if a player that's on this call tonight is watching Lewis and Clark, what are some things that you hope that they can pull away from watching that film?
Yeah, I hope that they see a team that's connected. And I hope that they see a young team that's growing together, a tough team, a team that's just really connected, a team that's really, truly together. And I hope that they look at those intangible things, those foundational pieces, and those foundational pieces that are in place for our team to grow and to continue to develop. So, yeah, that's all. I think it's really about our players. I actually wish our players were on this call. I see we have a really good group of people, really good group of coaches. And it just, it's terrible that people can't come and visit. But I just think that hopefully they're able to see what we're all about, our coaching staff, our players, and yeah, just kind of get our vibe.
Yeah. And you mentioned a little bit about just kind of the Portland area and what a great place it is to live. And obviously a lot of people know about Nike, and stuff like that. So what sort of relationship or connection is there between students, whether that's, visits or job opportunities or internships? What is that connection like, being so close by?
Yeah, we're fortunate. So the school is located in probably the wealthiest area in Oregon. So a lot of the Trailblazers live right by our campus. So I always say we have by far the best open gyms maybe in the country, because we have, maybe not in the country, but definitely, and I know California has all the players, but definitely have the best open gym in Oregon, because just the traffic that goes through, that comes through our gym, the training that happens in our gym. And then in combination with Portland, I think it was something like there's 7,500 of our alums just basically living in the Portland area. So we get a ton of traffic from alums, always at our school, always at our games, always involved with some of our programming at the college. And there's a ton of programming in terms of, we have a week-long, to kind of flip the question, we have a week-long internship style program. It's called Winterim, where we bring in different businesses in the community. And we bring those, it's almost like Shark Tank. So groups of students, they get to present their business idea to basically different companies in Portland, and some companies also in San Francisco. And then those companies basically work with them for a week and give them business advice, job advice, some hands-on experience for our students. And I think it's easy to do because those professionals can work in Portland, and then they can kind of go back and forth from working in the city and coming over to Lewis and Clark throughout the day. And you speak of Nike, there's Nike, Adidas, Patagonia, Under Armour, Columbia, Daimler. There's so many companies that are just stationed right here in Portland. So it's just different. It's a difference when you have to connect with companies just in the summer or just on breaks. I always say that our students can kind of meet some of those companies for coffee during the day because they're living right here in Portland.
That's awesome. And Do most of your players, do they live right on campus? Do they live in the surrounding neighborhood? So like you mentioned you live very close to downtown. Is it kind of it's all together, pretty much campus in the city?
Yeah, so most of our players live between the city and our campus, so probably about 5 minutes away from campus. So especially our upperclassmen. We had an upperclassman last year who lived right downtown Portland, just wanted to be around, the Blazers, food carts, and all of the things in the city. And then we have some of our younger students who stay on campus because, obviously you can access dining halls and living spaces and all those things a little bit easier. So it's a combination between the two.
Awesome. Okay, great. Well, we have a couple more minutes here, Tim, and I wanted to just ask you, with obviously there's been a lot that's been happening in our country lately, right? There's been, a pandemic, there's been uprising about social injustices and stuff. So, we've been doing this for 9 weeks, and a fact of the matter is there's not a ton of African American head coaches, whether that's you're looking at Division 1, 2, 3, professionally, whatever sport you're looking at. And you're in a pretty prominent leadership role as the head coach. And so, for you personally, or within your team or within the university, how have you been able to, try to use your voice and try to kind of speak up during these times, especially with somebody who's had some unique experiences such as yourself, moving from different parts of the country, and I'm sure having gotten exposed to a lot of different types of people in your journey?
Yeah, I will say this in short. I think our team, handling a pandemic and also handling unrest in our country at the moment, I think our team they have been just giants. Just the things that they have dived into, taken on, they've taken on a clear leadership role of what's happening. They've taken complete ownership of what's happening, and they're just working every single day, for change. And I'm just, so proud of my team. And in terms of my leadership role, I'm just partnering with my team to to do the work. So I've taken a partnership role with my team, and we've taken a pretty active role in the Portland community, and it's just something that we'll continue to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we got about 1 or 2 more minutes left, and I want to give you the floor if there's anything else that we didn't get a chance to touch on or talk about that you wanted to highlight a little bit before we sign off for the evening.
Yeah, I just want to know how you guys are doing. How you guys are doing in California?
We're riding the tidal wave that comes to our town every day. So, we're making the best of it, trying to take care of our kids, doing the best we can.
I got you. It's the same here. I think in the city, just hoping everyone's safe, and definitely reach out to me with any follow-up questions about the school. And at some point, I look forward to seeing everybody in person.
Yeah, same.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah, hopefully sooner than later. Like Scotty said, pretty much any event that we've ever run, you're there. And whether it's a camp, tournament, showcase, whatever, anything that you can be on the road for, you've been there. And we really appreciate that about you. And we're really hopeful that we can get back in the gym soon, man. But in the meantime, we really appreciate you being on tonight, Tim. Hope that you stay safe. And we do hope that, whenever that time comes when your players can get back on campus or when you can get back out on the road, we look forward to seeing you out there.
Absolutely. Y'all stay safe.
Have a good one, Tim.
Tim. Take care, man.
Yeah.